What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Slam Sessions. I know this is very much impromptu, and I haven't even told anybody I was going to do this. But, I mean, to be completely honest, the reason why I'm doing it is just because I got a few minutes of free time, and I figured that I haven't checked in with everyone in a while. And there's been a lot going on in my life personally and stuff like that. So there's been a lot of reasons as to why I haven't been on here for a little while. So I kind of just wanted to give everyone an update. I'm not expecting a lot of people to be even on here as of right now. Oh my God, AJ Envoy. What's up, buddy? How are you? It's good to see you, man. Happy 4th of July to you and everyone else. King Super, how are you, man? It's good to see you guys. I haven't seen a lot of you guys in a very long time. It's been a little bit. I've had a lot of stuff going on. But it's 4th of July, so I figure, why not just jump on for a few minutes, chat with you guys, see what you guys are up to, see how everyone's doing. I can update you guys on what's been going on with me and all the crap that I've been going through and such. So, yeah, it's good to see all you guys. So I know that I've been absent for a little bit, and I haven't been around. I haven't been around on my own channel. I haven't been around on Dave's channel. Thank you. This is my 4th of July shirt. I really don't have much to do today. I'll kind of get into it in a little bit, but I'm still kind of recovering from a lot of different things that have been going on over the past couple of weeks. So I'm just going to go to my parents' house, hang out with my 5-month-old niece, which is, the best way to make me feel better, period. So I'm excited. Degenerate, how are you, man? So real quick before we really dig into stuff, because I do want to go over some wrestling stuff. I'm not going to be on super duper long. I want to, get ready and get set and go to get ready to eat some barbecue food and stuff like that. So real quick, just to give you guys an update. Obviously, as you can see, the background's way different than usual. That's because Base Up, what's up, man? Oh yeah, AJ. She's the light of my life, man. She's the cutest little thing ever, and all I want to do is hang out with her. She's she's incredible. So I mean, I know that there was I did a brief live video that kind of got interrupted a couple of months ago where I was here, but I'm in my new apartment and I'm enjoying myself as of right now. Don't worry, Base Up. Dave and I spoke last week, and we talked about a couple of different things that we can start doing together. So hopefully you won't have to deal with Dave much longer without me, but we'll see, WG Phil, what's up, man? How are you? So I've been at the apartment for a couple of months now. I try to go live a couple of times, but things have just been kind of crazy going back and forth. And then in late May, I got casted in a play, which was awesome and a great experience. It was called Elvis Has Left the Building. A friend of Dave's channel and mine, Inigo Montoya, actually flew out and came to see me, which was really super duper awesome. Sorry, I just got a text from my sister. So it was a great experience. AJ, so do I. I did. No, not Dave, just me. I met Inigo Montoya in real life. I know his government name now, and I will not reveal it because it is not fair. But super nice of him. He flew out. He came to see the play, and the play was so much fun to do. Like I said before, it was called Elvis Has Left the Building. There he is! Inigo Montoya, we were just talking about you. You see, you say somebody's name enough, then all of a sudden they come out. Gotcha. So, yeah, you are not kidding. Summer is going by fast. I can't believe it's 4th of July already. So, hopefully, AJ, hopefully. So, now that you're here, Inigo Montoya, I can tell everyone, I can tell you what I just told everyone, that you came out to see the play, that I know your government name, but I'll never reveal it. And It was super awesome to meet him, and it was great for him to come out and support. And it felt great. The play was so much fun to do. It's the first time I was on stage since I was in like 5th grade. I mean, I've acted obviously before, and obviously I've been doing these live streams with Dave for years. I've graduated from broadcasting school. It's not like it's something that's like foreign to me, but yeah, it was it was an experience. And yep, me and my girlfriend were both in the play, and we both met Inigo Montoya in real life. And again, thank you again for coming out and supporting. It meant the world to me. My Mandalorian mug. So I did the play, and my plan was to start updating the channel immediately. So so based up, it wasn't a full musical. It was called Elvis Has Left the Building. It's there was a small section where I performed like 30-second snippets of Elvis songs, but that was pretty much the music part of it. So it was just like a regular stage play. I also, in the process, and like I said, it's been busy. The apartment. Then after the apartment, I actually got promoted at work, at my day job, and and then with the play, it's just been constant. And I think because of all of everything that's been going on over the past couple of months, I kind of got run down. And unfortunately, King Kaido, what's up, man? It has been a while. Thanks for being here. Unfortunately, I was actually getting set up and getting ready. I had a whole list of things written out of new content that I wanted to create. And then I got COVID. Oh, thanks for the like, by the way, guys. Appreciate that. I got COVID. I tested positive 2 weeks ago. And, for a couple of days I was struggling. I obviously wasn't up to, start content creating. And, I really, even though that was the first thing on my mind was I got to get up and I got to get back onto the streams and I got to get back onto making, content and making videos because it's, I enjoy doing this, guys. I know that I'm sporadic with how, me doing it. But it's one of the more fun things I get to do. But it's just very time consuming. And my time, as you can obviously tell, has been a little bit crazy over the past couple of weeks. So then after I got COVID, right pretty much in the middle of it, right when I was just about to end and start getting better, there was a rodent infestation in my apartment. So I had to call an exterminator. I stayed out of my apartment for a couple of days, which wound up being the best thing that could possibly happen for 2 reasons. One, unfortunately, right after I got COVID, so did my parents. And they're both older, so I ended up staying at their house for a little while and making sure they were okay. Thank God both of them are totally okay. My mom got it way worse than my dad did. But, it was touch and go there for a little while just because that's good, AJ. That's really good. It really wasn't that bad. There was definitely when the exterminator came here, he said it's not something that's going to happen often. We put down traps. I put down a whole bunch of different stuff. They're going to renovate this apartment sooner or later anyway. So once they do that, I'll be fine. But yeah, it just wasn't fun. But it ended up with me, staying at my parents' house, which actually wound up working out pretty well because I got a chance to then take care of them. And then once they kind of healed up and everything was okay, my mom was on her second to last day of her mandatory quarantine. I felt a really sharp pain in my lower right abdominal area. And as much as I was just trying to, just think, hey, this is just something that maybe it's just going to come and go. It's not a big deal. I got a little nervous, so I went to the emergency room and turned out I had kidney stones, which I don't know if anybody here has ever had a kidney stone, but it is probably the worst pain I've ever been in my entire life. It made me completely nauseous. I was throwing up. I was doubled over in pain. I was in the hospital for about 11 hours. And it took a lot out of me. The positive of it all is that it seems like it's over now. And it seems like everything's okay. It looks like everything's out of my system. But I'm just not kind of fully 100% recovered yet. I feel like maybe by tomorrow, maybe, Tuesday, I should be a little bit better. But it's been a trying couple of weeks, and I've really been wanting to come on here and talk to you guys, but I just haven't had the energy or felt well enough to do it. But today was really the first day where I was feeling good enough to say, you know what, there's a lot of stuff going on right now that I'd love to talk to everyone about. So why not jump on, say happy 4th of July to all you guys, wish you guys, a happy 4th, and hopefully you guys have a lot of fun today while you're out. And I'm going to just, like I said earlier, I'm probably just going to go to my parents' house, wear my super cool, flowy, sleeveless 4th of July Hawaiian shirt. And no, see, base up, I don't like Hogan, and that's the problem. I haven't been eating my prayers, saying my prayers, or eating my vitamins. So that's probably why I got these stones, and probably why I got COVID. This is it. It all goes back to me disliking Hulk Hogan. I don't know why my shirt's in the corner of the frame here. I don't like that. So yeah, but I'm back and I'm better. I spoke to Dave couple about early last week. We spoke about getting the band back together, starting to do more stuff. It's been it's difficult, and you guys know this because you guys were with us through the pandemic. But it's difficult for us to get together, to line up the computers, to make sure everything works. So we're thinking about maybe doing something a little bit different. Maybe we're resuming the live streams, but maybe not every Monday. We're going to try to figure things out. We're going to get logistics, and now that I'm starting to feel better, we should start working together a little bit more. So it'd be nice to be able to see you guys and interact with you guys a little bit more. But look, I've been live for about almost for over 10 minutes now. So let's like I said, I'm not planning on being here super duper long. I'm going to get ready and get over to my parents' house to eat some damn good barbecue food because my appetite is finally back, and I am ready for it. So let's talk about some wrestling. I got to get the shirt in here more. The shirt's too cool to leave out. I was actually forced to buy this shirt by my best friend's girlfriend because she said that last year, I think maybe 4th of July last year, she was like, everybody's got to wear a Hawaiian shirt. And I found out they made sleeveless ones, and I said, well, that's the one I'm going to get. So yeah, let's highlight the shirt a little bit. But what's everybody talking about? Oh, AJ, you are not kidding. I'm like, fingers crossed, my dad bought something good to put in the smoker today. Ooh, AJ, hit me with your question. WG Phil, you came with the stuff right there. That is one of the things that I really want to talk about is the Theory Money in the Bank win. The Money in the Bank pay-per-view last night, I watched, I want to say about 50% of it. I think I tuned in. I watched I watched a bunch of a bunch of it. I didn't get to watch the beginning part of it. I missed the beginning. Me and my girlfriend were finishing up on Obi-Wan and Moon Knight. We were she also Tamara got COVID too in between all that stuff too. So with all the bad luck that I've been having, she got COVID too, and actually sat at the hospital with me for about 5 hours, making sure that I was all good. So she is a trooper and the best girlfriend ever. But yeah, so Tamara and I were hanging out, catching up on TV, and then I realized Money in the Bank was on, so I threw it on and we watched the end of it. So let's see. Let's go with AJ's question first. I really want to get deep into this whole theory thing. It's kind of like the crux of the reason why I'm on here, for a lot of reasons. Where do we stand on Cena? I think there's a lot of revisionist history, and I do like Cena, but I can't help think some are overrating him a tad bit. So AJ, I'm back and forth on this. I've said this before on Dave's streams, and I'll come clean and open up right now. In 2000, right around the apex of John Cena, when Cena won the world title from JBL, and then started what people refer to his reign of terror. And you know what? It's good that we're starting with this because I want to go into theory right after this anyway. And it all kind of ties together. So Cena starts that big reign, and I was a smart. I hated it. I was at SummerSlam, the year where Orton and Cena main evented, the year where Triple H and Rey Mysterio both came back from their injuries. One of the better SummerSlams that I went to. I'm actually on camera on that SummerSlam. I mentioned it every time I mentioned the SummerSlam. So whatever. Right after the opening match with Kane, I'm actually you can see me clapping on camera. So So anyway, the thing about Cena was that I couldn't stand him back in the day, and I realize now why. And it's because I got sucked up into what a lot of wrestling fans get sucked up into. We were in the social media era, right when Cena really kind of took over. The big time social media era. We were moving over from MySpace to Facebook. Twitter was really starting to pick up steam. A lot of people were discussing wrestling, and a lot of the stuff was just disdain for John Cena. And I've said it before, and Dave disagrees with me, but I think a lot of the hate for John Cena was the fact that that a lot of wrestling fans can't seem to get past the nostalgia and their favorites of yesteryear and don't like a new guy taking over. As much as wrestling fans all say, we want new top guys, anytime a new top guy comes in and beats somebody from the old guard, everyone just seems to flip out and get pissed off and get mad about it. And that was what was happening with Cena. In order to establish Cena as the future guy, he had to go over all of our heroes. He had to beat Shawn. He had to beat Angle. He had to beat Triple H. He had to beat Jericho. He had to beat Christian. He had to beat Edge. He had to go over all those other guys because he needed to be established as the Big Show, Umaga, monsters like Khali. He needed to be established as the guy, the one who was going to carry the torch for that generation. And love him or hate him, you can't take away the fact that John Cena spent 20 years in WWE, and he made WWE his life, and he worked harder than anyone else, and he busted his ass more than everyone else, and he did something that no other wrestler has been able to really do, and that's stay at the top for 20 years in one company. I mean, the only other person I really can think that has really done something like that has been really Sting. Outside of that, everyone else, it's, Austin's run, at the top was about 8 years. The Rock's was about, somewhere around the same. You look at some of the other big guys like Bruno Sammartino. His run was, maybe about, 10, like 10 years, I would say. A lot of which he spent as being champion, and then once he lost the championship, he slid right down the card and never came back. Cena was always there, always performing at the top level, and I think that that Cena got a lot of unnecessary hate, and unnecessary hate from me too. But the other thing was that I was always a bigger Randy Orton fan than I was a John Cena fan. So and I've also been a very big Edge and Christian fan. So seeing Cena beat those three guys, and those three guys ended up being some bigger feuds for Cena at points. That was the reason why I started to dislike Cena. I was also a very big Kurt Angle fan, so I'm a big Triple H fan, and I admit that those guys, who I know that's now, like I look at it now and realize, okay, Cena should have been beating those guys. I was mad that Cena was beating those guys. So that's on me as a wrestling fan, and I admit that that's the fact, because I know that looking at it now, I thought too in depth that I was so, worried about the backstage politics and all the stuff that was going on. I forgot to just sit there and watch wrestling and what was in front of me. And that's why I like, at this point, I look back and I reflect and I actually enjoy John Cena and I like him now because I realized that he was so good for so long and he was just super underappreciated. A lot of the people who think that Cena buried yes, I agree, WG Phil, he absolutely did. Only enough during the height of Cena from 2007 to 2013. I wasn't watching wrestling as much except for TNA. I really don't have many memories of him except for him beating Nexus. Look, the thing about Nexus, it was a bad thing. It was. He was burying. He kind of really did put a very big damper on the Nexus's debut. But the funny thing is that they were all the same people that were like, he's burying up and coming new talent that could be world champions. Were the same guys that were getting mad that Cena was the up and coming guy and getting championship shots. So, it's just, it's cyclical. And a lot of wrestling fans just, want what they want. And when they don't get it, they just cry and bitch and moan and complain. And we're going to get into that in a couple of minutes about a couple of things that happened last night. I'm sorry, was it last night or was it the night before? It was Saturday night. It feels so weird that there was a pay-per-view on a Saturday. And WG Phil, you're right. Cena, being the champion once WWE went, PG, and Cena's character not exactly being a PG character for a very long, for the most of his run, and then having to turn into one was a big thing of why a lot of people dislike John Cena. I just want to put my TV on mute. I'm catching up because I wasn't home staying with my parents. I actually had to catch up on a lot of wrestling, so I actually I'm catching up on old Dynamites now. I finished Raw, and I'm almost done with SmackDown. Happy 4th, True Sinister. But yeah, that's a lot of the reasons why Cena kind of got hated too. I believe Cena did get a lot of unnecessary hate. I mean, it was saying the same old shit in 2006. And 5 moves of doom, this, that, and the other thing, blah, blah, blah. Cena proved that he's a good worker. He worked a safe style. It's the same thing as Hogan. Look, I think Cena's a much better wrestler than Hogan, but Hogan is, yes, you're 100% right. I have to get those words out of my mouth based up. It is. It's a premium live event. I'm too used to saying it the other way. True Sinister, I'm going to dig into that in a couple of seconds, and you bring up a great point. I will say stuff with the Nexus was absolutely terrible. However, I will say probably the best because Bryan and Punk stood out because of it. Yeah, sure, Kaido. I mean, look, I think that if Cena would have maybe given a little bit more and not taken so much in that, during that feud, I think Wade Barrett might have been, a cemented main eventer, and that's something that we could have gotten that would have been, I think, a lot better. But outside of that, yeah, I don't really think that, that it hurt that much. But yeah, so, the same old shit, 5 moves of doom. We've learned that Cena's a great worker. We learned that Hogan can kind of work, when he wanted to, when he was in Japan and stuff like that. But they worked this bigger style so that they didn't get hurt and that they hit all their big moves and that all the people who they really, really wanted behind them were behind them. That's mostly, young adults and kids. And that's who were digging guys like Cena and Hogan back in the day too. Adults liked, the adults that liked Hogan were mostly adults who had kids whose kids liked Hogan. And, it's the same thing with Cena. A lot of, personally, I know a lot of people who were Cena fans because their kids were watching wrestling and they loved Cena. He brought a smile to a lot of their kids' faces. That's what it was all about. So Cena worked a very safe style. And then as we saw that when things kind of were getting a little bit, Cena was getting a little bit stale at the top. Instead of turning heel, he demoted himself and went to the United States Championship. And, true, Sinister. You're right with that. Maybe he didn't look the greatest. And yes, AJ clunky is a good word, but he was great. He has excellent matches. AJ, Edge, Umaga, HBK, Punk. You're 100% right. Those are great matches that Cena's had, and he's proven that he can go with the best of them and get a great match out of almost anyone. And the WWE did the right thing by pushing everything behind John Cena because John Cena was the guy to put the company behind. He's squeaky clean. He doesn't do anything wrong. He's a good human being. Most wishes granted by any human being on the planet. He's a great person, a great wrestler, a great personality. He's the guy you want to put on your posters. He's everything you could ever want. And that's why, a lot of people saying, look, I don't know if I agree with him being the greatest of all time. I think that's a spot for Steve Austin. Because, the most people who watched pro wrestling, at one time was when Steve Austin was the guy who the most people were watching. He made wrestling mainstream for a while. So, but Cena and AJ took the words right out of my mouth as a great ambassador for the company. And yes, in wrestling in general. Even when doing the Japan stuff, you would still say Cena's better than Hogan in the ring. Yes, 100%. I think Cena's way better than Hogan in every single way. But that also... True Sinister, you're 100% right. They absolutely do. So then, that led into what they wanted to do with Roman. And I've said this 100% of the time. True Sinister brought up the idea, that Roman and Cena were the right people to get pushed, but done in the wrong ways. I think that it wasn't done in the wrong way. I think everybody was ready for Roman Reigns, but there's a vocal minority of fans who just wanted what they wanted, and all they wanted was Daniel Bryan. That's it. They wanted nothing else but Daniel Bryan. Even though they got Daniel Bryan the year before in the main event, they wanted nothing more than Daniel Bryan to come back and repeat again because that's the story that they wanted. Even though WWE had made it very apparent they were building up Roman Reigns for this spot, and wrestling fans, at the time were okay with it. People were like, oh, it looks like Reigns is going to be the next big guy. Okay, I kind of guess I see it. I guess it makes sense. It looks like Roman's going to be the guy. Okay, cool. You know what I mean? Like, like people were kind of on board. But the second that Daniel Bryan announced that he was going to come back and he was going to be able to wrestle again, everybody turned their backs on Roman Reigns. All of a sudden it was, we don't want the Vince's here we go, another Cena. And the thing that I hate the most, he's shoving him down our throats. No, you see, he was, and Ego, I'm showing that comment because I agree. Roman and Cena were the right guys. They're not being shoved down our throats. They were being pushed in the right way to make them seem like main event caliber stars, and everybody got mad that it wasn't somebody else that they wanted. God forbid they wanted to put the company on and put the company on Roman's shoulders. Now remember, at this time they had Bryan and they still had Punk at the time, and everybody was all mad. Punk had a 434-day world championship reign. Were people, and look, this is not, I'm not 100% not ragging on CM Punk here. I love CM Punk. I absolutely do. I'll go and that's the shirt that I bought when I went to the friggin' AEW show. Is I bought the first CM Punk shirt. I love CM Punk, but did the ratings change like everybody thought they were going to when Punk was had that 434 day title run? Not really. He didn't bring in these lapsed wrestling fans like people thought that he was going to. He didn't bring he didn't cultivate this new era of wrestling fans. So WWE needed somebody else to try to bring people in, and they saw that Roman had a good connection with the fans, and they put the company on Roman's shoulders. And everybody would have been fine and accepted it, except for the fact that everybody else was just like, nope, Daniel Bryan, nobody else, that's it. Now we're going to boo the crap out of Roman Reigns and everything they do and we're going to go with this shove down our throats thing. Bullshit. No one's ever shoved down your throat. They're pushed because they're proven that they can draw. We've proven that, hold on. So sorry. Oh, okay. Got it. Sorry. We've proven that Cena draws money. He was absolutely, printing money as the Doctor of Thugonomics during his U.S. title run. Everybody wanted to see him get to the main event, and he did. Oh, don't worry, AJ. I'm getting right back to it. And he did. He made money. And then the Shield split. And everybody saw that the first person they pushed, remember when the Shield split, the first person they really pushed was Seth Rollins. And then everybody was like, well, looks like it's going to be Roman who's going to get, who's going to be, the next big, chosen guy. And people were okay with it. And people were buying Roman's merchandise. And watch Roman's initial first run. I don't care who the fuck you are. If you go back and watch when Roman first turned babyface after the Shield broke up, he was getting the loudest reactions out of everyone. Roman was getting the hot tags in all those matches against the Wyatts and getting the hot tags in those matches against Evolution. And everybody went absolutely nuts for Roman Reigns. He was the most over guy on the show. It made sense to push him. But the second that they did, the WWE made the decision to pull the trigger, everybody lost their shit. And lo and behold, here comes history repeating itself again. We've seen that Austin Theory, who every wrestling fan should love, across the board because he checks every single one of the boxes. He was, and it was mentioned by somebody earlier. I don't remember who it was. I'm sorry. I'm not going to scroll back to look for it. But he was trained in Atlanta by AR Fox, has indie credentials, was the Evolve Heavyweight Champion, wrestled on the indies, busted his ass, did everything the right way, the way that everybody in all these nerd-ass internet Twitter wrestling fans want you to do it. Get on the indies, make a name for yourself, have great matches, have everybody talk about how good you are, and then get signed by the WWE. And he did all of that. He comes into the WWE, goes to NXT, gets a very quick push up to the main roster because of injuries during COVID. And then, and he did everything he was supposed to do. Was he great? No, he needed seasoning. So they dropped it down. It was you, Base Up. So they dropped him back down to NXT, and they made him a character. And he was funny and entertaining and had a good character, with the way. And, worked very well off of Gargano and Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae. He was excellent at that role. And then WWE saw, okay, we got something with this guy. He's got everything we could want for and we could ask for. He's exactly what we would need as a heel right now. And he very much reminds me of Randy Orton when Orton first came up. Smug, arrogant, not, obviously after Orton turned heel, but that smug, arrogant Randy Orton kind of character. And that's it. That's the thing. Everybody comparing him to Sammy Guevara. Why? I don't get it at all. They don't wrestle the same. They don't have the same personality. I mean, if everybody was going to sit there and say, he reminds me of Tyler Breeze, I'll give it to you. You know, like, fine. I'll give you that. Because, you know, the gimmick is very similar with the selfie and stuff like that. And King Kaido, I'm going to get there. Now, there are a certain section of Twitter wrestling fans that want to go off the, I don't really dislike Austin Theory. I just don't like the WWE is pushing someone who has some sort of like sketchy past and, you know, with girls and blah, blah, blah. You mean those allegations that were proven to be false? You know, we've already ruined Velveteen Dream's career over allegations that were proven to be false. And now here we are trying to do it with Austin Theory. He sexted a 13-year-old. That was proven to be completely inaccurate and completely false. But somebody still said he did it, so I don't like him. Like, you know, you can say anything about anyone. And that's bullshit. You want to hold something that somebody didn't do against them, that's bullshit. Now, look, Inigo Montoya, I totally understand. There are people who just aren't going to be fans of certain people. And I get that. There are wrestlers that I'm just not a fan of. And that's fine. I'm not a big Young Bucks guy. I just never have been. Even like I liked them when they were in TNA and they were Generation Me and they were having the matches against, Motor City Machine Guns. And I dug them. And then I started watching them in the indies and I just couldn't get them, man. I just don't get them. But I respect them. I think they do have good matches. I think that there is absolutely a market for them, and there are a lot of wrestling fans who love them. I don't hate them. They're just not my cup of tea, and that's fine. Look, Inigo Montoya, you hate Theory, that's fine. I understand it. He's not going to be for everyone. But the fact that everybody in wrestling, yes, AJ, he's great. He's excellent in the ring. Sure, Degenerate. Okay, I'll give you that. I guess that I can see the similarities there. Big Blue Attack. What's going on? But that's my thing. You have, now you have a guy like Theory who checks every box for every fan. You know, look, call a spade. He's a good-looking dude. Women are probably going to, I don't like when JD and them start attacking the wrestling tweets, but I hate when people obsessively hate him. I think that you shouldn't like anything that JD ever does because if we're talking about the JD as in JD from New York, JD, he's literally the wrestling equivalent of a shock jock, someone who has no opinion and is just going to keep shouting and screaming and crying to, and pander to his fan base. I don't believe he even believes 95% of the things that he's saying. I honestly think that he's the kind of guy that just says shit to get a reaction, and I'll be like, I'll apologize later. People will forgive me. People love it when I'm just edgy and cool and stuff. You're not cool. You're not edgy. You're just a mark, and you're just doing it for followers. And that's it. Look, last night I had a conversation with Tamara, and we were talking about this channel, and I said, look, I know that there are a lot of times where, like, if I get into the double digits on my live streams, I'm happy. But I've cultivated, and through, with the help of Dave, I've cultivated a good amount of people here that aren't assholes. And I'm not going to be an asshole, and I'm going to try to be a positive person more than I am going to be a negative person, because that's not who I am. And I'm not going to turn this channel into some bullshit because other people, might want me to just spout off and shoot out of my mouth about WWE. I'm not going to do it. It's not how I feel. I'm going to be honest. To be fair, Degenerate, 100%. Darby Allin is a great example. There were accusations made about him, but nobody brings them up because, he's an AEW and or whatever. And that's completely stupid. Sure, Big Blue Attack. I'm always down. But yeah, so yes, and you're 100% right, AJ. I think that there's a lot of people in this community that are absolute pieces of shit. But Theory, in my opinion, has done everything he should do to be a top star. He's earned it. And everybody's like, my favorite are the people who are using kayfabe reasons as the reason why they're like, we're not cool with this. He's a heel. They snuck him in the match at the end. He's a heel. That's how he's supposed to win. It makes total sense. You're supposed to be upset with it because he's supposed to be a heel. And I know somebody, mentioned earlier, I don't see Brock Lesnar versus, Theory in the main event of wrestling at MSG. Not yet, you don't. But remember, the briefcase can be held for a full year. Theory can make himself look like a main eventer in a full year. Sorry, guys. But yeah. And look, a lot of people have done that. And that's my big thing. Thank you for bringing that up, True Sinister, because the big portion of all of this is that at the end of it all, the one thing that the internet has been clamoring for, the Liv Morgan push, that's what everybody's been dying for. And every tweet after Money in the Bank, 75% of them, if they talk about Money in the Bank, we're talking about how they disliked what happened with Theory. Where's all the love for Liv Morgan? Everybody loves Liv Morgan. We wanted Liv Morgan to be pushed to the moon. Give the girl the Money in the Bank. Give the girl a world championship. And they did it for you. And what did everybody do? They bitched and moaned and complained about the thing they didn't like. And that's the reason why I hate wrestling fans. Because you can't be happy for the fact that WWE gave you something that you wanted, you were dying for. They put her over Ronda Rousey. She pinned Ronda Rousey for the Women's Championship. Well, I get people might not be happy that it was, a Money in the Bank cash-in. But Liv Morgan, the girl who everybody loved, pinned the almighty, the only person who ever gets pushed in WWE, Ronda Rousey, and nobody's making a big deal out of it? Are you fucking crazy? Like, I don't understand. That's what everyone wanted. Why aren't we seeing more people celebrate that? It's because the wrestling community is so fucking negative. And all they want to do is talk about the shit that they don't like. Meanwhile, God, holy crap. If it was anybody else that had the same credentials as Theory, everybody would have been going nuts. True Sinister, I understand that. And look, if that's the way that you feel about Riddle, I understand that. And I get it. Right now, it's getting a little bit overboard with the Randy Orton stuff. But, at the end of the day, it's, it is what it is. I'm with you. He kind of should. Where's this guy? Keith Lee, Black, or mid-card as hell. He asked me, one of my favorite promotions is... I'm going to wait for you to finish that, Big Blue Attack, and finish your thought there. Yeah, but when it makes sense. Degenerate, I don't know what you're talking about there. And so, Inigo, look, if you didn't care about Liv Morgan, look, I'm going to be completely honest, and I've said this multiple times. I don't see it with Liv Morgan. I think that, to me, she's improved. Don't get me wrong. By leaps and bounds, she's improved, and she's a lot better in the ring than she's ever been. She comes across as very unauthentic when she cuts a promo to me. I don't know if it's just the way she speaks, but she just doesn't click with me promo-wise. She's okay in the ring. She's nothing spectacular. She's not like a Bayley or a Sasha or anything, or a Charlotte. She's good. I think that Liv got where she is because a lot of wrestling fans saw that she has a lot of passion, and a lot of male wrestling fans think she's attractive, which I think is ironic because Eva Marie was very attractive, and everybody just crapped all over her. See, now, Inigo, I don't agree with that. I think Bianca is well more talent, is light years ahead of in talent wise than almost everybody, almost every other female on the roster. I think Bianca can cut a great promo. She has proven that she can put on banger matches. She's done it with Sasha. She's done it with Becky. She can wrestle. That she's a 5-tool player. She's everything that you could ever ask for in a wrestler. Yes, base up. Look, I agree. I agree. And look, maybe I'm wrong. And like I said, I'm not crapping on Liv Morgan. She's just not my cup of tea. That's fine. But I also want to say Dave got mad at me because Chris was obsessed over my post. Maybe a comment saying it. Ready to go. Listen, look, that's up to you. Look, True Sinister, I don't believe that you're blocked on the channel anymore. I think Dave said he actually unblocked you. So maybe try to jump back on. Maybe you can get in and talk everything and smooth everything over. I think he undid a couple of bans that he did early on. Big Blue Attack, you got to understand that there are people that are going to be like that. And they're just going to spout off nonsense because they want attention and they think that they know better than everyone else. Look, I'm going to be completely honest. There's a lot. I don't talk about Japanese wrestling because I don't watch it. So the most that I'll comment on is some New Japan stuff that I'll catch every once in a while. True Citizen, I'll talk to him next time. I thought he said he unblocked you. If he hasn't, I'll talk to him and see see if he has yet. But I know he definitely mentioned you as one of the people that he said he was looking to unblock. Maybe he hasn't done it yet, or maybe he forgot. But yeah. So that's the thing. You see, AJ, you're right. With Jade Cargill, she has a great look, but Jade can cut a good promo. And look, Inigo, I know you said that you don't think that Bianca can't cut a promo. I think she's pretty solid. Is she the best? No. But is she believable? And does she make me believe in the things that she said? You know what I mean? Yeah, absolutely. Like, I believe all the stuff that she says. So, I mean, look, maybe that's just me. We're going to have differences of opinion. It's the same thing as Theory. You don't like him. I think that Theory is great. I think he's incredibly talented. And he's got indie credentials. I love his finish. His moveset is great. He's, for a guy that size to be able to do things like that, that leaping Spanish fly and stuff like that, that rolling drop kick, his finisher, with that TKO across the knee. He's got a good moveset. Same guy said Adam Page is a bigger draw and more than. Look, I've argued with a bunch of people about people being, talking about bigger draws. You can't call anybody in AEW right now a bigger draw than anybody in WWE. You just can't. It's just not possible right now because there's just more people watching all of WWE stuff than there is AEW. There are more eyes on them than anywhere else. Somebody was like, and look, a lot of wrestling fans try to do like this, gotcha kind of a game. Somebody was like, oh, so you're going to say like, Veer is more over than half of the roster? And I sat there and I was like, you use Veer, which to me is funny. By the way, thank you guys for the likes. Appreciate it. You use Veer, and that's funny because Veer is so well known in India that I'm sure that if you walked up to the population as a whole, if you interviewed every single human being in the population, more people would know who Veer was because of winning that Golden Arm Challenge and becoming a pitcher and having like this whole big background than Kenny Omega. It is what it is. So maybe right, exactly. Like Khali, he's super over. If you look, Brandon Thurston, who I think is a little bit more biased towards AEW than most of the people that I tell you guys to go and seek out their stuff, but numbers wise, I don't know if there's anybody better than Brandon Thurston on Twitter. He is great at calculating and showing numbers and Google Trends and stuff like that. And he put up a post a couple months ago about the most searched professional wrestlers, and it was like 15 people until you got to any talent that was on AEW, and all the AEW talent that were top searched were almost all ex-WWE talent. They're just not there mainstream wise on a global scale yet. They're only 3 years old. They'll get there sooner or later. I'm rooting for them. I want them to get there. But it's stupid to compare right now because they're just not on the same level. Roman probably is still stupid over in India. Right. It was Jericho, Punk, and Bryan. Those are the first three names that popped into my head. Big Show was also up there high on that list too. And, it is what it is. A lot of these people have been established in WWE. That's why when you hear people who aren't wrestling fans talk about pro wrestling, most of the time they just call everything WWE. And that's indicative of the fact that WWE's had a monopoly on the professional wrestling market in the United States for how many years. It is what it is. But there were a point where WWE was absolutely the number 2 brand, and people were sitting there and talking about WCW just as much as they were WWE, sometimes even more. There were just as many NWO shirts as there were Austin 316 shirts at one point. So It's possible for one company to overtake the other. I just don't think we're ever going to see it, and we're not going to see it on a global scale because wrestling just isn't there anymore. It's a niche product, and AEW is a niche product that's marketing an already niche product to a niche section of the audience. And no, I didn't watch Forbidden Door, AJ Envoy. I had no desire to watch Forbidden Door because A, I don't watch New Japan. B, none of the matches really spoke to me that, made me want to see them. And C, outside of the fact of Cesaro debuting and facing Zack Sabre Jr., which is one match that I really wish I did get to see. I do regret not being able to see that, no matter how good or not it was. But yeah, I just had no desire to. I mean, I always want to see Okada wrestle, but I wanted to see Okada in a one-on-one match. They put him in a fatal four-way. Just it wasn't for me. And I'm still mad at New Japan for, taking down Dave's videos. I hold that company and the way that they do business personally responsible for demonetizing my friends and taking money out of their pockets. And I really don't want to like New Japan anymore because of it. And it's not, this is more than just... of course, AJ, that's how you make any company mainstream. And no, you're 100% right, Drew Sennison. Not even close. Nowhere near. But, but that's my thing. Like at the end of the day, I don't want to support a company that's literally taking money out of my friends' pockets. It's not fair. Nothing that Dave, and look, we all know Dave, and we know Dave well. We've all watched his videos, and countless numbers of them. I've modeled my videos off of what Dave's done. Dave doesn't very rarely even uses video clips in his videos. He only really uses pictures. And they're going to demonetize him for using pictures for him talking positively about New Japan? Fuck that noise. I don't care what their, who their parent company is and what their issue is or something like that. New Japan as a company needs to tell them to stop doing that because it's making people hate them. And that's why I don't support New Japan. Plain and simple. You're going to take money out of my friend's pockets. You're going to take money out of Dave's pockets. You're going to take, money out of V and Fuso's pockets. Those are people who I respect. I don't want that shit. So I'm not going to support an AEW New Japan venture. I will absolutely buy the next AEW pay-per-view if it really speaks to me, and maybe I'll go and watch it with a bunch of people and stuff like that. But not one that's going to cross with New Japan. I'm sorry. I just don't want to I don't want any bit of my money to go towards that company right now. And that's the thing. I'm a wrestling fan. A wrestling company did something to piss me off, and I'm not shitting on them on Twitter. I'm not making videos, talking completely I do 100% degenerate. I blame their parent company. That's 100% on them. It's not New Japan as a company. It's their parent company. They fucking suck. It's bullshit. It's not fair. And you know what? Maybe if someone hears this, they might take this video down. Fine, whatever. I don't care. I don't make money off of any of this shit. But I'm not going to, I'm just going to, the only time I'm going to speak my mind about this stuff is when I'm here. I'm not going to blast New Japan on Twitter. I'm just not going to support them. That's what we should be doing. I will give you the reasons why I don't support New Japan. I will tell you why. But I'm not going to make it like this big thing about, him being, about, me not liking them and make it my whole personality on Twitter. You see, I don't like something, and now you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stop talking about it because I don't care. Yeah, and True Sinister, you're right, and that's, look, you want to talk about, there's a lot of the reasons why the invasion failed, because, most of the main guys from WCW who were supposed to be coming over never came over. We didn't get Hogan. We didn't get Goldberg. We didn't get Hall. We didn't get Nash. These are, we didn't get Macho Man. These are major, players from WCW that were, main eventing, and they, we didn't get them. So that's why the invasion failed. Look, a lot of people say the same thing. And look, I don't care what anyone says. I hope for the world for Claudio to get the big push in AEW. And I hope that they're finally the company that makes him a world champion. Because for all the time that we've sat there and we talk about how underappreciated Cesaro is, He's been underappreciated by every company he's ever been in. He was underappreciated in Ring of Honor. He was mainly a tag team wrestler there too. Even when he was a singles wrestler, he wasn't a world champion. He came to WWE. He got a strong singles push, and then he became a tag team wrestler. He got the singles push towards the end of the run, but for some reason they never put the big belt on him. If a company is going to sit there and say, we don't care as much about sports entertainment kind of stuff, we don't care as much about promo skills, we're just about pure wrestling, if they don't put the title on Cesaro, then they're doing something wrong, because Claudio Castagnoli deserves to be a heavyweight champion. Plain and simple. If they put him in a tag team like they did with another guy who I think should have been a WWE World Champion, and they fumbled the ball on him like Keith Lee, and what did they do? They brought him in to a big sort of fanfare and teamed him up with another ex-WWE guy and put him in a tag team. And to me, that's bullshit. And look, I was thinking about this the other night. Make Rampage a 2-hour show, split the AEW roster right down the middle. There is enough, now they have enough belts to do it. They have the All-Atlantic Championship that can be comparable to the TV Championship. They have the TBS title, which can be comparable to the Women's Championship. They have the AEW World Heavyweight Championship as an interim champion on Moxley, and they have the real World Champion in CM Punk eventually going to come back. Split the brands, cut it right down the middle, make another new tag team belt, and then the AEW can be fine. And all of these guys who aren't getting big main pushes and aren't on TV every week can be on TV every week because they won't be fighting for as much TV time as always. If any company can make the brand split work and do it the right way, it's AEW. Get rid of the stupid fucking rankings that make no sense because, when they sit there and they're like, well, this person got there based on strength of opponents. And, and that was my argument. Look, I love Adam Cole. I know there are a lot of people here who don't like Adam Cole. I'm an Adam Cole fan. I enjoy Adam Cole. I like the fact that Adam Cole got a world title shot, when he came in, but he didn't beat anybody of substance. And as a matter of fact, he lost the match to Orange Cassidy. And I hate this whole bullshit, lights out, doesn't count kind of a match. Bullshit. If it's not going to count to the record, don't have the fucking match. It doesn't make sense. Because when Orange Cassidy, a guy who, look, I get, if you guys get him and you guys like him, that's fine. But to me, he's more of a comedy wrestler than he is a serious wrestler. When he beats the guy that's going to challenge your world champion, it doesn't make the guy who challenges your world champion look good. It just doesn't. Degenerate, he was. Cesaro was a mid-carder in every company he ever went to. The biggest push he ever got was in WWE. He challenged for world titles in WWE. He won singles titles in WWE. He won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Cesaro had his best run ever in WWE, and he was still underappreciated there. But yeah, that's my thing. See, Kyle, you can do that too. Make the TNT title. But you know what? AEW is 2 world champions right now. Use it both. Do the brand split the right way. No one from either side faces the other. One pay-per-view a year. One show. That's it. Where there's a crossover. One show. They can obviously share pay-per-views. You know what I mean? Like, they can both be on the same pay-per-views. I'm not saying to have specialized, Rampage and Dynamite pay-per-views. But separate these talents and put them on specific shows so that there's a lot of people that get more of an opportunity. And if AEW does it right, they can make it work. Make it a true brand split. One time a year, people from opposite brands get to face each other. And I don't think it shouldn't be for, I hate the whole brand supremacy. I don't give a shit. I don't think anybody on either side says that they give a shit, because who cares? Especially, and this is one of the big things, Dave points this out all the time, and he's 100% right. I hate the whole thing, with SmackDown's the best brand in the world. And let's just say Albert Albanese, WWE roster member Albert Albanese says, SmackDown's the best brand. And then all of a sudden I get traded over to Raw. And at the end of the show, I'm going back and beating up all the SmackDown guys with a Raw shirt on because I got traded over there. Brand split and brand superiority bullshit. Dream matches. You know what? We have champions on either side. Let's see who the who the grand champions are in each brand. The FTR has the AEW Rampage, tag team titles, and the Young Bucks have the AEW Dynamite tag team titles. Bam! 1-on-1. Yeah, well, 2-on-2, technically. For just to prove who the best champion is. You have the Pac as the All-Atlantic champion, and we have Scorpio Sky as the TNT champion. Bam! 1-on-1. Let's see who's better. Punk versus Mox. Jade versus Thunder Rosa. And then some other, and that's it. I just think just the champions. Because then you murky the waters too much. Because then after that, you do your other brand split, you trade people around, and then you get brand new matches. And AEW has a large enough roster that they can do it. And then, if you need to pepper people in because of injuries and stuff like that, they're going to revive Ring of Honor. So bring people up and out of Ring of Honor and sparse and, throw them into different brands to make it work so that, God forbid, oh man, we were going to have this huge match and, somebody gets hurt. But we have Colt Cabana who is, maybe not really doing much in Ring of Honor right now. Let's bring Colt Cabana up, put him into this spot. And now Colt Cabana is going to be a part of the Dynamite roster. I don't know. This is the interesting take. I still question Punk's run in AEW. I think Punk's done well. I just don't think he's brought back as many fans as everybody thought it was going to. That's it. I don't think he's done bad. I think he was booked well. Somebody mentioned earlier about if AEW does, actually it's right here, so I'll credit Base Up actually said if AEW does their classic, booking for Claudio won't really do much for the first month or so. Plus, dude is up there in age, he'd be the oldest champion besides Jericho. It's true, and Punk's up there too as being, an older champion or whatever. Doesn't like Punk's run now, but he tells me about it on Dave's stream. And, that's the case. If you don't like it, you don't have to be fans of it. I think that I don't think that Punk coming in and beating younger guys, is yeah. Oh, of course, AJ, you're 100% right. Punk is still well over with that crowd, but I just don't think the way that they did everything, and that's my thing. The idea of making a star. Everybody sits there and is like, and I'm not shitting on any of these people, by the way. I just mind you, this isn't a negative on any of these people. But when you hear people say stuff like Moxley beating Wheeler Yuta made Yuta a star, but then WWE builds theory up with the Money in the Bank, and people are like, WWE never builds new stars. Come on, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like AEW isn't building anybody up either. I'm sorry. Name me somebody that they built up. Name me somebody that started as a low-ranking nobody and has moved up to the top of the card. Everybody that was pushed has been almost pushed from the start. Scorpio Sky was a part of the first, in the trio of the first tag team titles in AEW history. Now he's a TNT champion. Darby Allin was made to be a big deal from day one. Jade was made to be a big deal from day one. Sammy Guevara was made to be a big deal from day one. Adam Page was made to be, yes, he was. Exactly, Kaido. He was a staple before that. He had, the TNT title run. Sammy Guevara had a long TNT title run. MJF, again, another guy made to be out a star since day one. Okay, I'll give you that. Thunder Rosa might be the one. But Adam Page was supposed to be in the first world title match. Remember, him and Pac had the stare down. There's just degenerate. He hasn't made anyone. They're booking some guys well, like Ricky Starks is booked well, but he's not a star yet. And every time it seems like he has a moment where he's going to break out, he loses. Powerhouse Hobbs. But that's my thing. AEW's done a great job in pushing the guys who they said from the start that they were going to push. But it's not like they made anybody brand new. It's not like Punk came in and elevated somebody to like this ungodly status. Is Wheeler Yuta going to be probably more of an exception to that rule? Maybe. But he's the Ring of Honor Pure Champion. So if he leaves and goes to Ring of Honor, then he's going to be a Ring of Honor star, not an AEW star. Like there hasn't been anybody who's been a low-level AEW guy that started off getting like, people are like, meh,
I don't really know if how I feel about this guy, and has risen up through the ranks to become like a huge character on their shows. There just hasn't been that guy. And, Punk and Moxley and, these other guys who are stars, going out and beating these guys and having good matches with them makes them have really good matches. And that's it. Hook is a great example. How much has he cooled off? Inigo Montoya, Basim just said it. He's just cooled off so much. He was the coolest guy in AEW for months. People were marking out for him, and now he's been put with Danhausen and been forgotten. They start, and you want to talk about start and stop pushes? That WWE is king of start and stop pushes? That's all AEW does. Let's push this guy for 2 months and then bury him to the bottom of the card. Let's get this major guy from WWE, make him out to be a big guy, and push him back to the bottom of the card. Let's put him on Dark. And don't get me started on this fucking bullshit that Dark is important because they have squash matches that help with the rankings, which mean absolutely nothing in AEW because they just put people in title matches when they want to put them in title matches. It's not like they've ever earned them. And then, if they do earn them, it doesn't matter through the rankings. They earn them through battle royals and tournaments. Nothing of it makes sense. There's so much about AEW that I want to love, and there's so much about it that doesn't make sense, and there's so much about the stuff that they get credit for that they really don't do, and WWE gets crapped on for the same thing, and they're booking people the same way. Yes, WWE is horrible with distraction finishes. It's absolutely abhorrent and it's stupid. There are more DQs and countouts on WWE TV than you can count, and it's stupid. It's stupid and it's dumb. It's so dumb. But it's also really dumb the way AEW brings in a talent, makes them feel like they're going to be a big star, and then pushes them off to the side and just focuses on the same handful of 30 superstars that they put on Dynamite and Rampage every week. FTR is literally the most over tag team in the world right now if you're judging by Twitter, and we know Tony Khan judges so much by Twitter, and they won't put the world tag team titles on them. They put them back on the Bucks. Come on. Kaido, you're 100% right. WWE does a lot of good shit that they get no credit for, but they do an absolutely ungodly amount of dumbass shit. AEW gets praised for everything they do, but if you switched over all the logos from AEW to WWE and you put Vince in charge of the decisions that some of the decisions that AEW has made, they get ripped apart by the same wrestling fans that praise AEW. It's tribalism. It's bullshit. Both of these companies have done great things. And I don't care. I know some of you guys don't love him, but putting a 24-year-old guy who looks like a goddamn model, who is a good wrestler, who has indie credentials, to put a Money in the Bank briefcase on that guy and peg him as a future star is the right thing. It's what WWE should be doing. Whether you like Theory or you don't like Theory, you can't deny the fact that it makes total sense for WWE to be putting their eggs in that basket. He's young, he's talented, he can cut a promo, he can wrestle. He's a 5-tool player. He's everything you should want in a champion. And yet half the place, shits all over them. Then you had Sammy Guevara, who everybody sours on AEW. Nobody wants to see the guy come anywhere near winning a championship, and they put the TNT title on him. They interrupt Scorpio Sky's reign to put the belt back on him, just to put the belt back on Scorpio Sky. And I don't care what anybody says, I can't name you one person who's been booked well as a champion in AEW. It's like you win a belt and you almost become like a background character. It's like winning a championship is like getting a trophy, and then after you get that trophy, it's like, well, we don't care about you anymore. And WWE does the same thing. Ricochet wins the Intercontinental title, becomes a background character. Nakamura wins the Intercontinental title, becomes a background character. Before Theory won the U.S. title, everybody absolutely was a background character that held that championship. Think about it, who were the last really good U.S. champion was. It was probably Lashley. Priest didn't have a good run. Balor didn't have a good run. Apollo didn't have a good run. These guys are made out to be background characters. At the very least, and that's what I'm saying, Kaito. All the guys who win championships become background characters in WWE, except if your name is Roman Reigns or the Usos. That's it. It's the way it is. Big E became world champion and became like a background character. Yes, WG Phil, I am 100%. I'm so glad you brought that up because Shinsuke did get an injury and very rarely defended his IC title. You want to hear something really funny? You remember when Darby Allin, internet sensation Darby Allin, held the TNT title? Remember when he went like 4 months without defending that title at all and no one said shit? But Shinsuke, who got hurt, didn't defend his championship for a couple of months and everybody just crapped all over WWE. Bullshit. It's the same thing. They both book their champions like shit. WWE is booking Roman very well. They're booking the Usos very well too. And Theory, for what he did, got the U.S. title to be a little bit more relevant than it was before. Based up, I'll give you that. Right, and same thing, Kaito. Like, I don't mind flip-flopping the titles sometimes, but not back and forth to each other. Sinister, I didn't love Kenny's title run. I also didn't hate it. Kenny felt special. AEW did a great job of making Kenny Omega feel special. I'll give them that. And Kenny also battled through a lot of injuries. I am not, I'll say this 100 times over, I am not a huge Kenny Omega guy. I'm not. But I will give AEW credit where it's due. They booked him very well as champion. Simple as that. I think that they did a good job with him. But, outside of that, I mean, Adam Page wasn't, didn't seem like he was anything special when he was world champion. It's just like no one, people get booked as champions and everybody forgets how to book them. Jade Cargill's been booked very well as champion. She's been made to feel special in every single thing she's ever done. Give AEW all the credit in the world with Jade. But Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy didn't come across really well after they won the world the tag titles. Like, it's just like a lot of these guys just fade into the background and they just fade into obscurity. I don't understand why that's the case, but AEW is just as much of a culprit as WWE is. There's a lot of things about pro wrestling that I dislike. But a lot of it is very much, on both sides of the fence. There's also a lot of stuff that I like. I like that WWE gave wrestling fans what they wanted. They put the title on Liv Morgan. She's over. I don't like her, but I know she's over. I'm not stupid. I see it. And I'm not going to get mad about the fact that, they're going to push a certain person that I don't like because I just don't like them. That's on them. Because they're doing the right thing. They're not appeasing me. They're appeasing the larger portion of their fan base. Oh my God, true sinister. I think WWE doesn't have enough stables, and I think everybody in AEW is in one. There's a balance. Find it. But I do have to say, I like faction warfare, and AEW does that very well. I like that kind of stuff. I'm into that. Like, factions feuding with each other always interests me. But there's just too many in AEW right now. But yeah, but that's my thing. It's the same thing with Theory. There's a lot of people who are sitting there and they're crapping all over Theory. I wonder if the reaction was the same when Randy Orton won the world title when he beat Benoit, because that was well before he was ready. It's just, everybody's just so fickle. Daniel Bryan was 100% right when he called the wrestling fans fickle. He's 100% right. That's exactly what they are. And it's so, I find it to be super duper funny how everyone, in AEW started turning their back on Cody and how Cody's the most over guy in WWE once he comes there. It's just like, okay, you're underappreciated somebody, somewhere. Look, Big Blue Attack, it is what it is. I'm going to say, I'm not going to not take Chris Benoit out of history. He did something terrible in his personal life. I think he's an absolute, garbage human for doing that. But It doesn't erase what he did in the wrestling industry. I'm not going to not say his name. Right, and based up, you might be right. You might be right. And maybe that's the way. And remember, the internet was in its infancy. Really, like message boards and stuff like that. And I really wasn't, on message boards a lot back at the time during that time. Yeah, true. And I don't get that. Cody put everybody over. Did he win some of the feuds at the end? Yes, but Cody was also a top guy and needed to be kept as such. If Cody keeps losing, then why does beating Cody mean anything? It's the same thing as, when people, when you sit there and you people make a big deal in WWE, and not people, I'm not talking about fans, I'm talking about WWE in general, being like, oh my goodness, this debuting star just beat a former world champion. Yeah, that former world champion was Dolph Ziggler. Everybody beats Dolph Ziggler. I love Dolph Ziggler, don't get me wrong, but everybody beats Dolph Ziggler. So what's the, it diminishes who Dolph Ziggler is when he keeps losing. Cody's got to be kept strong so that when somebody beats Cody, it makes it look good. And the thing is that like a lot of people were mad, and I was one of them where I was like, why is Cody losing to this Anthony Ogogo guy if they're going to make him such a big deal? Obviously, AEW didn't have a big deal, a big set of plans for him because he's almost been barely seen since. So, maybe it was the right move to have Cody beat the guy. But yeah, Cody was a great hand in AEW and hell of a hand in WWE now. The match with Seth is probably... Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And King Kaido, you named two of my favorite matches of the year. Look, I am not going to stop, touting, the praises on FTR. I think FTR, as human beings and as professional wrestlers are like just amazing in every single sort of way. So you're not going to get me to talk negatively about FTR. I think they're great. Plus, everybody now keeps telling me now that I kind of look like Dax, which is a little bit weird, but I'll take it. We're both grumpy guys, so it's fine by me. I guess I got to get rid of this a little bit more now that he's just got the stash. Actually, I'm not going to do that. But yeah, true sinister, I'm with you. I think that, look, and WG Phil, you might be right. But true sinister, I'm with you with a couple of people that the internet's kind of ruined. Marty Scurll, did what Marty Scurll actually do? Was it wrong? Like morally, in a sense, was it wrong? Yes, to a lot of people, it was probably very much morally wrong. Did he do anything wrong legally? No. The age of consent in England, in the UK is 16. He had sex with someone who was 16. Does that seem like it's disgusting by our standards? Yeah, it kind of does. But at the end of the day, he didn't really do anything legally wrong. But now he's almost like blackballed in the United States because of it. Velveteen Dream was proven to have not done anything wrong, and he's blackballed from pro wrestling because of it. That's the thing that I don't like about social justice warriors. Cancel culture. I think it's bullshit. No one can learn from their mistakes if you don't allow them and give them the opportunity to grow and learn. And yes, there are stupid things that people do, and there are things that are way beyond, stupid. And some of the things that people like Velveteen Dream were accused of is well beyond stupid. It's morally incomprehensible. But he didn't do any of it, and no charges were filed. So you can't sit there and blame somebody for doing something when you don't have proof that they didn't do it. If you dislike Marty Scurll for sleeping with someone who's 16 years old, I totally get you. And I understand that because morally, I think that's just, that it's not a cool thing. It's, it's kind of gross that's what he did, but it wasn't kind of wrong. Look, same thing, True Sinister. That's a great call. Enzo didn't get fired for what he did, which was also proven to be false. Enzo got fired because he didn't tell WWE that the allegations were there. Somebody like Riddle had the allegations, and he went right to WWE and said, listen, this is what's happening. This didn't happen. She's trying to ruin my life and my career. And WWE backed him up, and they've got, everything's now settled and everything like that. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. But Riddle's kind of gotten like this pass from the internet, and Darby Allin has gotten a pass from the internet. And that's the thing that I don't understand. if you're going to be mad about these allegations, keep it up for everyone, not just your favorites. I get that Enzo might not be everyone's favorite, but he didn't do anything wrong. And it was proven that he didn't do anything wrong. Velveteen Dream didn't do anything wrong, and it was proven that he didn't do anything wrong. Yet Darby Allin had the same accusations against him, and everybody is just forgive and forget with him. It's not fair. I don't want anybody to condemn Darby. I want people to stop shitting on everyone. Cancel culture doesn't help anyone. If you make somebody not have a job, that means they can't provide for themselves or their family. That's not fair. Yeah, exactly, Kaito. I'm 100% with you. I think that Velveteen Dream could be a major professional wrestler right now. He could be one of the biggest guys in the industry, and he got ruined for something that he didn't do. It's not fair. It's just not fair. We're innocent until we're proven guilty. True Sinister, you're right. He does, and I appreciate that about him. And he doesn't take shit from anybody. So, I appreciate that about Riddle. I like Riddle. I do. I've liked Riddle since the beginning. The feud with him and Jericho was super funny, True Sinister. But yeah, so I mean that's that. All right, I'm probably just gonna stay on for like another 10 minutes. Is there anything else that you guys want to talk about before we dig into it and we kind of get to the end? Sure, base up. I totally understand that that's the case, and people should be, especially if they become, if it's about kids. But they were proven to be false, so you can't hold somebody, accountable for something they didn't do. Like that's like punishing me for, breaking into any one of your houses. I didn't do it. I don't know where any of you live. So Big Blue Attack, it's funny. Look, everyone knows I'm. Everyone knows I'm a big, Cardona and Myers fan. So they got me to start watching a lot more Impact. And I think Impact is more enjoyable than it's been in years. I think they have a great talent roster. I think that they're doing well with their booking, and I like AEW a lot. No, True Sinister, don't ever apologize for that. I really just like Impact a lot. I really think they're doing a great job, and I think that they're better than everybody gives them credit for. And I think that they're that company that keeps getting written off because they were like the butt of a joke like years ago. But they're around longer than almost every other wrestling company that you can think of, except for WWE. Based up, I'm a Nets fan, and I'm absolutely destroyed that they built a super team and spent all that money, and now it's gone. Oh my God, I love Josh Alexander. Absolutely head over heels love Josh Alexander. I think he's a wrestler's wrestler. But yeah, I love a lot of that stuff. And there's a lot of guys that aren't even signed right now that I think are doing really, really good work right now and are going to be big stars in the future. Especially about you want to talk about Impact, guys that I really, really like. It sucks, Base Up. It fucking sucks. It's been destroyed. Oh, hey, listen, we're going to talk about the Jets. Listen, I'm so optimistic about the Jets this year. They look great. Yeah, that's the thing. They always put somebody new. Based up, I have to, I got to say, I haven't been keeping up with Catalyst as much as I used to. I got to get back on it. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Chris Bay. I'm a big fan of Trey Miguel. I think both of those guys are absolutely unbelievable. Blake Christian right now is the one to watch. If you guys haven't really seen much of, Blake Christian, if you only know him as Trey Baxter from NXT, if you haven't seen some of his indie stuff, he's doing some stuff in GCW right now. He's like my pick to be like, once AEW signs him, he's going to be absolutely like one of those big like top guys. Sweet, what's up, man? Yeah, Kaito, he's great. I love Blake Christian. He's so good. Based up, I'm optimistic about the Jets this year because they have a great team. They went out and they actually got the pieces that they really needed. They went out and they drafted the right players. They, their quarterback looks solid. They have, weapons for him. They have protection for him. They got a running back. They got receivers. They did everything that they should have done over the past couple of drafts to beef up their team to make them seem like a viable contender. Do I think that the Jets are going to be like a Super Bowl contender this year? No. But give them a year or two, and if all those pieces stay healthy and they actually wind up working out, they could be one of the better teams in the league. But yeah, that's how I feel about that. So that's why I'm optimistic. Wow, I'm off my phone for like 5 minutes and everything. Hey, look, Big Blue Attack. They might. They could go 4-13 this year, but I guarantee you it would be a very competitive 4-13. They're not going to get blown out. They're going to be in all of their games. They're a good team. They have everything that they needed, they got. But a lot of those pieces are young. So it might take them a year or two to develop. Kind of like what I thought the Cleveland Browns were doing until they destroyed their entire team. Oh yeah, and look, in sports anything can happen. So you never know. Trying to think. I feel like there was something else I wanted to talk about wrestling-wise that I can't put my finger on. I know I wanted to go live a couple of weeks ago when I was sick about something that was really pissing me off, but I can't fathom what that is right now. Base up? Me too. 100% me too. Damn, I can't. I don't know what it was, but whatever it was. I mean, I don't think a lot of us should send us there. Listen, that's what it is. I have a very poor choice in half of my sports teams, okay? The Jets and the Nets break my heart every single time I watch them. The Yankees and the Devils have done very well, for me over, throughout my life. So funny you mentioned that, Big Blue. When I did my play originally, I actually was supposed to do the tape around the middle of the glasses, and I never did, and I probably should have. That really made me look like a Dudley. Oh, man. All right, guys. I think that that's probably going to wrap it up for me. I should probably hop in the shower and get ready to get over to my parents' house and see my niece. Oh, absolutely, Sweep. 100%. They were the Martin Brodeur years were the highlights of my life. I had the Yankees and the Devils were like the two best teams in hockey and baseball, respectively, at one point. That was like the highlight of my sports life. But guys, it was great seeing you. If you guys missed it earlier, if you want to go back to rewatch it, I talked at the very top of the stream about why it's taken me so long to get back to be doing this kind of stuff. But here's the good news. The good news is that I'm healthy and I'm back and I want to live stream a lot more. So I'm going to try to do that. I have content that I'm editing. I have content written out that I'm going to shoot soon. I just have to fix up my back room to have a place to shoot. So once I do that, we'll get there. Thank you. This is my 4th of July shirt. I felt like it was very festive for you guys. Have a happy, healthy, safe 4th of July. None of you guys better hold some fireworks in your hands while you light them. Don't Jason Pierre-Paul yourselves. Be safe, be fun, eat good food, enjoy your company, and have a great time. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. This has been Albert Albanese on the Slam Sessions.